Hi, folks. Welcome to Your New Favorite Song here on AIM Country Music Television. I'm your host, Marc Gilliatt, and my guest today is Hank Ruff. This southern Indiana boy started playing the mandolin at just 11 years old. He played at bluegrass jams and later added the guitar to his repertoire and moved on to playing the country hits of the time. Hank to this day writes songs with his dad. In fact, one of them, If the Shoe Fits, has 1.1 million plays on Spotify. They did pretty well, didn't they? He shared the stage with Rodney Atkins, Jordan Davis, Hardy, and Jelly Roll. And Hank is here today to talk about his song, One Thing I Can Count On. So let's get him in here right now to talk about what might just be your new favorite song. Welcome to the show, Hank.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, you're welcome. I really appreciate you making the time for us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you come highly recommended by an old friend of the program, Alex Miller. He's been with me on several of his songs, and he thought I should have you on. So I've listened to several of your songs, and I agree. Here you are. Since you're new to at least some of our audience, I'd love it if you take the floor and give us a proper introduction, your history, what you're up to now, and where do you hope to take all this in 2026?
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot to cover in that. So I guess I grew up in southern Indiana, about 2 hours probably from Kentucky, really. Where bluegrass music around this whole area is huge. And so I started out, when I was little, I was too small to hold the guitar. My dad played a little bit of mandolin, so he put a mandolin in my hands, and I started learning like Bill Monroe tunes when I was real little, and going to the Bean Blossom Bluegrass festivals, all kinds of stuff like that, and then that kind of led into getting into old school country music. My dad had an old school country band, and I kind of took that and ran with it. By the time I got to high school, I really discovered 90s country and stuff like that. And and the late 80s stuff, some Dwight Yoakam, Clint Black, John Anderson, guys like that. And I kind of just, you know, I've always been in love with country music, and pretty much I'd say I'm someone who likes all the eras pretty much of country music. I love old Hank Senior stuff, Hank Snow, Ernest Tubb, all the old school stuff that Alex Miller loves too, that as you mentioned, and then all the way into the newer stuff. John Party, Zach Top now is making waves, and Ella Langley's making waves and bringing back some of that the more traditional sounds. So, I love all aspects of it, and that's kind of where I've found my sound. When I was in school at Indiana University, I went to IU, and I kind of just thought, man, like all the parties I was at and stuff, it was always just electronic dance music or a DJ. And I was like, man, if we put a band together, this could be fun. They might like a change up. So, put together a band, and it kind of just took off from there. We started playing the big local venue in Bloomington called the Bluebird. And the Bluebird's a local venue, but it brings in a lot of major acts, and especially on their way up. Ella Langley, I saw Ella Langley there just about a year and a few months ago. So all the big artists come through there. And it kind of just went from there. We started filling up the Bluebird. I started putting out songs. My dad and I have written a ton of songs together, and so a lot of the music I have out are songs that my dad and I wrote. And it's just been growing, and I keep trying to post on social media like you need to these days and kind of do the thing, but also play a lot of live shows, primarily around the Midwest. But we get out front to the West Coast and the East Coast every so often.
Right, right. Well, you do have a ton of great music on Spotify, and lots of them list Andrew Ruff as a co-writer. Is that your dad?
Yeah, it is. That is my dad. That's his legal name. I guess he goes by, we call him Andy, but yes, Andy.
That's fantastic. It's got to be really special having your dad write so much stuff with you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it is really cool, and it's kind of I'm so comfortable sitting down and writing with him because it's my dad, and we've done it a bunch now, so it kind of just works well, and I know he enjoys it because I actually some of the songs that we've put out, he actually had written many years ago, and we kind of modernized them and made adjustments to make them more authentic to me too. So it's been cool to see how it's kind of come full circle or whatever the right word is.
Exactly. Is If the Boot Fits one of those songs? Because I see that thing got over 1 million views on Spotify or plays.
Yeah, so actually, if the boot fits is one of the only ones that like we didn't have a ton of that written. Like he hadn't really come up with something much, and he had the line. He thought of line if the boot fits, and I was like, yeah, like that's a good one. Let's go somewhere with that. And we kind of we made it as that with that one we were trying to go for just a straightforward simple country song that doesn't make you think too much. I kind of sometimes like that a lot of the old, a lot of Merle Haggard songs, and Merle's considered one of the greatest songwriters, and I agree, but some of them are he's not thinking too hard about trying to say something really poetically or really clever. He's kind of just saying what he's thinking. And I kind of enjoy that sometimes where I'm not having to be like, oh, what's he trying to say there? What's this metaphor? And so we're kind of going for that with that song of just a straightforward, simple country song. If the boot fits, you ought to wear it, nothing too crazy there. And who would have thought? It's funny as a songwriter now, I've learned you can never predict what songs are gonna resonate with a larger audience. That one we wrote, and I was thinking, I love this song. I'm gonna put it out. It's a pretty hardcore country, and I enjoy it. I'll put it out for me, but I didn't expect it was gonna end up being, currently by far our biggest streamed song so far. But you never know.
It's If the Boot Fits. You guys should check it out as soon as you finish this program. Well, Hank, why don't you take just a couple of minutes and describe your sound so that, someone who hasn't heard you yet wants to.
Yeah. So I like to call it, I guess the best term nowadays is neo-traditional country is what I'd say. I love, as I said, old school country music. I love steel guitar, fiddles, stuff like that. And so I have enjoyed finding a way to kind of combine elements of modern country and the more mainstream sound that is so big today with those classic elements of country music. I would like my songs to always be, if you were listening to the radio, if you were scanning through the radio, as soon as you hear it, oh, that's the country station. I don't want you to have to be like, oh, is this on the pop station? Is this the country station? And like, because some of the times I feel like you only know whether it's the pop or the country station based on the accent of the voice. So, I try to find that middle ground of being the classic country elements that I love while also still having some of the newer influences in there that are cool and catchy and what's helped propel country music into such a big genre right now.
Well, I hope to get to one of your performances in person sometime soon. I mean, I've seen a lot of your live videos. But in the meantime, tell us what the Hank Ruff show like. I mean, it looks pretty lively on video.
Oh yeah, it is high energy. I think that's one of my biggest strengths. I think it's just I'm so energetic on stage because I just love being there. When I get up there and see that even a few people showed up, I'm just so happy. It energizes me. So I run around the stage. I talk a lot. I'm a talker. If you're trying to just go see songs being played and no talking, then I think my show would not be the one for you. So, high energy, social. I like to just connect with the audience. And right now, at where I am at in my career, most of the shows I'm doing, I'm able to because I'm not playing for 5,000 people most nights. It's cooler club scenes and typically more intimate club type stuff and things like that. So I'm able to really easily, connect with the fans there. So, I'm a little biased, but I think they're a good time.
Well, that's the reason I asked the question because I really wanted you to have that out there that there are so many times when you do see a band and it is mostly standing there singing songs. And I just love it when you do have um, not performance, but enough of that interjection with the audience and walking around and visiting other people on the stage. To me, that's just so important to really connect with that audience.
Yeah, yeah, and not to say that you can't do it the other way, because I mean, heck, I'm a big George Strait fan, and I got to see him last summer, and I mean, he stands right there, but that's all he needs to do. He is George Strait.
He's George Strait, man.
He is stands there with his guitar and sings, and I love that. So not to be said that you can't do it the other way, but I just I like to run around. I got too much energy, I guess.
There you go. Well, you're here today to talk about your song, One Thing I Can Count On. It was released, less than a year ago. It's gotten played like 120,000 times on YouTube, and it's cruising towards 450,000 on Spotify. Needless to say, it's doing great. Tell us a little bit about the song before we play the video.
Yeah, that song. So I that's one, as I said, that some of them my dad's written a long time before. My dad wrote that as a bluegrass song 25 years ago or so. I'm not gonna act like I know exactly when. And he actually, with his band, they had a bluegrass version they recorded and put out. And I had always loved the song. It's when I was little, it was always one of my favorites of his. And I just realized, hey, man, I can take this into my own and totally, I mean, it's a total different style in terms of it's kind of got that rock and roll feel to it, like a Travis Tritt 90s rock and roll feel to it. And, I realized, man, this fits the exact vibe I'm going for. And for my live shows, I wanted a high energy, honky tonk rocker for the live show that I could always pull out and know that this is going to be a boot stomp or whatever you'd like to say. And so we I got my studio band. So that's one thing that's actually really unique and cool about this song and the EP that'll be coming out that it's on is this was the first recordings I did with my live band. I didn't use, because a lot of my other stuff was Nashville studio guys who are great. But this time I was like, hey, let's keep it use my live band as the studio band and let's cut it live. So we, booked out a studio and I got all my guys with me and we cut it. So the cool thing about that one is, it's the first time we recorded all as a band in the studio. So I'm super happy with it. And, for those, I know it's going to be played in a minute on here, but for those that haven't heard it, the saxophone ended up fitting so well on it because I have a saxophone in my live band and Braden, he's great. And it just added that cool element that just, I think, makes it a little different than other traditional honky tonk numbers. I mean, there's a saxophone just ripping through it in the solo section and whatnot. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. And it really got that more raw, organic sound that I was looking for. Because some of my stuff's a little more produced. And then, I wanted to have some stuff that was a little more raw, live feel. And that's what One Thing I Can Count On ended up being. And it's done. Apparently, the people like it that way too, because it's done pretty much as well as any of our songs ever have done streaming wise. So,
Well, I'd love to let the audience experience it firsthand. How about we play it now?
yeah.
Awesome. You're watching Hank Ruff's video for One Thing I Can Count On here on AIM Country Music Television.
Well, I went out fishing just the other day. Don't you know I got skunked? Well, there was rust in appliances and old car tires in my fishing hole been junked. Then I headed home feeling kinda low when I passed the roadside bar. Then I hit the brakes when I heard the sound of a pedal steel guitar. Cause the fish don't bite the creeks around here like they did in years before. And my girl don't love me like she used to do when I walk in that door. But there's one thing that I can count on to pick me up when I'm feeling down. That's a good cold beer at a country bar that play the honky-tonk sound. Well, you know my job is getting old just a little bit faster than me. And it ain't exactly what I used to say when I growed up I wanted to be. I've been thinking about taking some night school, getting started on a new career. It means I have to quit spending my nights playing country songs and drinking beer. Cause the fish don't bite the creeks around here like they did in years before. And my girl don't love me like she used to do when I walk in that door. But there's one thing that I me up when I'm feeling down. That's a good cold beer at a country bar, then play the honky-tonk sound. Oh, honky-tonky boys. Things that some folks say get better and better with time. A good country song is one of them things, in the opinion of mine. There stands a glass by old Webb Pierce. It sounds good every night, but when George sings He Stopped Loving Her Today, I can see my life's alright. Well, 'cause the fish don't bite the creeks around here like they did in years before. And my girl don't love me like she used to do when I walk in that door. But there's one thing that I can count on to pick me up when I'm feeling down. That's a good cold beer at a country bar, they play the honky-tonk sound. That's a good cold beer at a country bar, they play the honky-tonk sound.
I really love this song, but I gotta ask, these lyrics are about getting tired of the same old job. This has got to be your dad's influence, right? Because you're obviously a young man who's already landed the dream job. So, what's the process that helped you get this bluegrass song around to something that really resonates as that almost country rock sound?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that sometimes, some of my favorite songs, even in any genres, are songs that I don't necessarily immediately like think, oh, that's exactly me to a T. I do like being able to relate to a lot of the songs, and a lot of them you can in metaphors or different ways of hard times or struggles, or as with this one, like as you said, I'm not 45, worked a hard job for 25 years and I'm tired of it. But um, there's times that even during when I was at IU where I'm up at 2 a.m. writing some essay and I'm just like, this this sucks, man.
It's killing
So
me.
and I have enough years on me now that I really have experienced, unfortunately, that at least in southern Indiana and around Nashville, the smallmouth bass have not been biting like they did when I was 10 years old. I have not done nearly as well in the streams around southern Indiana, around the Tennessee area when I'm down in Nashville. I've not been catching them like the smallmouth used to bite. I used to love. We'd go to the Harpeth River and right outside of Nashville, and it used to be great. We haven't had much luck recently, so some of that
Maybe
is
this is the year.
experience. Yeah.
Well, I watched a few of your live videos, and that is your regular band, the Hellbenders. That's on the one thing I can count on video, correct?
Yes, yes. So that video that just showed we got together on a nice summer day and filmed. Just I wanted to include them in it because they played on it, and I didn't have much many videos out that feature them. I was like, hey, you guys want to all be in this music video? We'll play it. And they're like, heck yeah. So I'm happy with how it turned out. And that old square body truck, we were lucky to have some nice people let us borrow that. I wish that was my truck, but it was not my mint condition square body.
Well, I'm a big fan of the studio musicians in Nashville. You mean you could just pretty much count on them to take a chart and make a real song out of it. But
Absolutely.
I love a band. It's the sound really gels when musicians play together all the time. And you can in this band you can hear that pretty classic guitar and bass and drums. But man, the sax and the keyboard just set it apart. I feel like it's a unique part of the Hank Ruff sound to me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate that.
Now, how long have you fronted a full band? Has that been
So,
early on?
yeah, I'd say we've really been I've had those guys with me and we've been doing it for about 3, 4 years now. Um, when my dad had a band, a country band when I was real little that he'd let me get up and I'd front a song or two with them when I was real little, and I wasn't any good, but I was little and cute, and so all the adults would act like I was Elvis up there. Um, They're like, "You're so good," but I think it really actually fronting stuff. It's been pretty recent, last few years.
Build some confidence having those experiences in your past.
Absolutely, absolutely. I did. I learned a lot. Just being exposed to it when you're little, you kind of learn. It got me over the stage fright real quick because I remember being real nervous, to get up there, and eventually, after the fourth time doing it or so, I realized, hey, well, I don't want to say what's the worst that can happen. I'm sure some
Yeah,
bad
I
things
don't
can
want
happen,
to
but
know.
I realized, hey, it's most likely going to be okay. So
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
did help. And then I learned a lot. I played guitar for a country singer named Clayton Anderson, who, he's one of my home state, Indiana's, biggest country singers. And I learned a lot from him. He was great to me, and just learning the ins and outs and how to really bring it. Like I talked about how high energy my show is. I learned a lot from how high energy Clayton's show is. He always brought it, whether we were playing for 5 people or 5,000 people, you bring it the same, every time. And so I learned a
That's a
lot
pro.
from that. Yeah, he is. He is.
So one more thing, where is there a your dad's band's version of this song out available somewhere we can scrounge it up?
It is. I think at this point, when you search one thing I can count on most places, mine comes up first. But I think, it comes up, I think, second after that on Spotify and all there. They're called the Daddies, the DEW, and then Daddies, DADDIES. That was their band. So yeah, it's out there on the
I'm definitely
internet.
checking that out.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
just don't
did
tell me
mention,
if you like his version more than mine. Just keep that a
yeah.
secret.
Well, I got the feeling it's enough different that you could probably like both of them and still be okay with both of
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
Um, you mentioned having an EP coming out. You probably should lay that out so people know where to find it and when.
Yeah, so on March 3rd, 2026, we are putting out it's only the second EP I've ever put out. It's going to be called Hellbender Honky Tonk. My band's name is the Hellbenders. I always loved how, Merle Haggard's band was called the Strangers. Buck Owens had the Buckaroos, George Strait, the Ace and the Whole Band. I always liked how a lot of those guys had names for their bands, and so I thought, the Hellbenders, Hank Ruff and the Hellbenders. So the Hellbenders played on it, so I figured we'll call it Hellbender Honky Tonk. So it's coming out March 3rd, and it'll be out on all streaming platforms, on YouTube, on everywhere. Other than we're gonna have to get some physical copies made, I think, but everywhere but physical, it'll be out on March 3rd.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed getting to know you a little better, but I need to land the plane. So before you go, tell us where to find you online, on stage, and where we can buy or listen to all your music.
Yeah, so online on my website is just hankruff.com, HANKRUFF. I always say like French fry, FF. Hankruff.com. On Instagram, it's just Hank Ruff. I'm pretty lucky. All the handles, the social media handles are just my name. TikTok, it's Hank Ruff. So anywhere you search Hank Ruff, there shouldn't be difficulty finding me on any of the social media platforms, or on my website on Google. It comes right up. So
Well, Hank, thanks so much for coming on today.
yeah, thanks for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, Hank Ruff. So, what do you guys think? Is one thing I can count on going to be your new favorite song?
Honky tonky boys.
This has been Marc Gilliatt for AIM Country Music Television. Thank you so much for watching.
There's a number of things that some folks say get better and better with time. A good country song is one of them things. In the opinion of mine, there stands a glass by old Webb Pierce. It sounds good every night, but when George sings He Stopped Loving Her Today, I can see my life's alright.